I am Susan Henshaw Jones, and I am the Roni Menschel Director of the Museum of the City of New York. And I want to say that I'm honored to be here, to have been added to this agenda, and I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak with you about the future of the Seaport Museum. I think pretty many of you know that we are about to sign an interim agreement for a maximum period of 18 months so that we at the Museum of the City of New York can test the feasibility of our long-term assumption of management responsibilities at the Seaport Museum. Now, Jerry Gallagher, whom I just talked about, is right here. He is going to be the day-to-day manager at the Seaport, and I know that many of you have met him, but everybody should approach Jerry. He's very approachable. Now, a couple of disclosures. In 1972, when the special South Street Seaport District was created by Mayor Lindsay's City Planning Commissioner, I was on the staff of the Mayor's Office of Lower Manhattan Development, the agency that created and devised the plan. So I was a very low staff member. But therefore, I know very, very well about the hopes and the dreams for the Seaport Museum. And I know that the public intervention then was all about saving the ships and the boats and Skirmorhorn Row and the entire Seaport District right up to the Brooklyn Bridge. And you know, the public sector intervention, which was vast, was also directed towards creating a completely novel kind of funding for the Seaport Museum, which was to use the real estate assets in the district to support the Seaport Museum. This model was broken first in 1995 and again in 2007. In 1995, the city, in the Giuliani administration, notified the Seaport Museum that it was in default of the 1981 lease for non-payment of rent, and that the relationship with the Marketplace lease as sublessor was terminated. EDC was now the landlord, and the Seaport had no longer any rights concerning income generated by the mall. Again in 2007, the city terminated the Seaport's license for Pier 15, removing any potential for income from docking fees. Now, the fate of the Seaport fleet hangs in the balance in that EDC, which has received bids for Pier 15, will require the moving of the waiver tree because it sits in the water beside Pier 15. So the Seaport Museum has now only Pier 16 under its partial control, and you know, there's simply no room on Pier 16 for all of the vessels. So I've come to this task of trying to rescue the Seaport Museum with the best of intentions, seeking to return to the concept of the early mission of the combination of the buildings and the ships, to tell the story of New York's glorious past as a seaport. But whether or not it is going to be possible remains to be seen, and is really going to require all of community board one's help. We really need you as an active supporter. Now, the Seaport Museum has overspent, and its expenses vastly exceed its income. The mission did not fail. Its income statement was the source of its failure. Going forward, the Seaport has two sources of possible income: contributed and earned. We're going to work very, very hard to get folks to become members of the Seaport Museum again, because this is a bedrock for any museum, as well as larger gifts to support programming, including the repair, restoration, and use of the vessels. But obtaining contributed income takes time, and there are a lot of people who may pause to say, well, I don't know about the future. And I say that a decade is needed before contributed income is what it should be. Of course, I say to all of you, we'd love to have you as members. So, now the other source is earned income. By virtue of that 1991 lease, the Seaport Museum is prohibited from leasing space under its control for other than cultural uses. That is, income-producing uses, because 30 years ago, the city didn't want the museum to compete with the marketplace lease. Today, the Howard Hughes Corporation has a total of about 300,000 square feet, and the museum arguably has about 10,000 square feet that is rentable.
Can you try and wrap it up a little bit?
Okay, so the competition, so the reason for competition is just not valid any longer. We need to have your help in modifying the 1981 lease and in enabling the museum to lease available space in the buildings and on the pier. Everybody wants to know about Bound. We are...
Ma'am, get out there and speak to cut it there.
Okay.
Come on. Come on.
I got six. All right.
We've never had a complete report on the seaport in
I agree, but this is the public
And
session.
Give her the time that Mary Coulter did not use.
Five more minutes.
I have the time, Mr. Merrill. It's 3 more minutes.
In deference to our longest-serving member, I'll give you 1 more minute. That's all purpose. You will be coming to the Seaport Committee, so you'll have a...
All right, so everybody knows where to do holiday shopping. On programming, we're going to activate the museum spaces with school programs, exhibitions, and Seaport-related activities that can take place on the 3rd to the 5th floor on Fulton Street. We would like to do some edgy downtown exhibitions and programming, in addition to an exhibition about the Seaport history, and we'd like your ideas. We do need to talk to the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council. We need to activate those spaces, and we really welcome suggestions. We are also going to reorganize the Seaport Library and Archive, and we have a date with Norman Brower in the very near future. On the programming and the funding for it, we have DCA to thank, and I am deeply grateful to DCA, the Department of Cultural Affairs, for extending us enough rope, enough financial support so that we can get through this first year. And I am grateful to EDC for working with us to get to this point and for their future work aimed at putting the Seaport on a sure financial footing. Now, John Fratta and I just met for the first time tonight, and there are many district-related issues that I hope that he and I can take up. And I think that we need to have a special committee that looks at the street and the signage and to advance recommendations to improve the public appearance down there and to let people know that the South Street Seaport Museum is there. It's invisible.
We have that committee, it's called the Seaport Committee, and if you will give us specifics of what you need in terms of EDC and your leases and your contracts, then we will go to work drawing up resolutions to help support you.
We're able to do that. And we are able to do that very soon, too. At your convenience.
Andrew Burke. Andrew Burke.
We have a comment?